Hi, Travis with Splunk here. In this video, I want to go over lookup tables and give you an example of how I use lookup tables. I've pulled up a search here that shows the activity of the different devices on my home network. I can see there is a spike in data, and instead of me having to remember the IP address of that device, I can have a lookup table translate that IP to a host name so that when I hover over this spike of data, I get a name instead of an IP address. And this is very helpful because I don't want to remember all the IP addresses for all the 30 plus devices that are in my house or in my home environment. So if you're new to Splunk, or you're sitting there going lookup tables, why are they important? What are you talking about, Travis? Let's go to your favorite search engine, whatever you want to use, and do a search on Splunk lookup tables. You know, give you ways to find more information and use our documentation. I find, doing a search in your favorite search engine is the easiest way to find stuff in our documentation. So the first result is a lookup command. I am using that lookup command in this search. And then if we go back here, the second one is about lookups. And then there's other, lookup command examples. There is, how to use lookup table, Splunk community, Splunk answers. But I'm going to go into this about lookups, Splunk documentation, and show you more information about the lookup table. Here, what is a lookup? A way to enrich your data that you are collecting. The four types of lookups: CSV, external, KV store, and even geo. And then how, more information about each one of those four types of lookup tables. I'm going to focus on CSV today. And here we have a link to how can I create and bring a lookup table into Splunk using the web GUI, or if you like, using the configuration file CLI, there's a link for that. But for today, we are going to go into this link here, which defines a CSV lookup, gives you more information about that CSV file, and then how to upload that file. And if you need an example of a lookup table, we have C lookup for an example. This lookup is a hyperlink, and we can drill down even further and see examples of a lookup table. An example that we provide is a HTTP status code. I say we, Splunk. And you can go ahead and download that so you can see it, or just review the sample that Splunk has provided, where it shows the header field, status, comma, status description, comma, status type, and then values that are associated with the header field. And it's all comma separated and no spaces. So you can see like 200, okay, and successful, and 3 different header fields. And then the steps to go ahead and add those lookup tables into your Splunk Web. So let's take one step back here, and here, more information about lookup tables and how to get that in there. So just take some time and go through all of this. I could probably spend an hour on lookup tables. But what I'm going to do is also, scroll down here because there's something else I want to show. This is back to the about lookups. And if I scroll down, more lookup table definition, automatic lookups. This is great. So instead of having to invoke that lookup command and during the search, I can go ahead and set up an automatic lookup that will be invoked at search time and bring that information in that you would need. So last thing I'm going to talk about on this page is commands and lookups. There is 3 commands that are related to lookup tables. I've already shown and lookup, but there's also input lookup and output lookup. So you can manually create your lookup file, or we can actually use the output lookup in a Splunk search to create a lookup table to get that information into Splunk so you can use it with other Splunk searches. And I will go over and we're going to build that out today. So let's back up. Here's that where I'm using the lookup command there with this lookup table. We have a couple different ways of being able to look at what data is in that lookup table, that CSV file. And that's that input lookup command is one way. And then there's an app that you can download. So let me show off the input lookup command real quick. So input lookup, and you can see I've already used this command before. And before I go any further, if you like how I get, I'll click input lookup. If you like how I'm getting a lot of information over here, and if you're not getting this much information, like when I click more, go up to administrator, or whoever you're logged in as, your user account name, go to preferences, and then SPL editor, and you can change this on your account for your preference. It's where it, Splunk by default will have it on compact, and you can select full. And then if you've ever noticed, when I hit the pipe, it drops down a new line. That's this search auto format. So I select it so it automatically drops a new line every time, and you'll probably see that here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. So I have input lookup, and what was that? Hall. Yep, I've already got that there, so I'll just click on that and click run. So all this command does is bring the data into a Splunk search so I can view it. This is a CSV file that I have uploaded, I have edited, and made adjustments to it. And this is a CSV file that is being used in this search to where my destination IP will go down here. If it makes a match, it outputs me the host name. Now, the other way that we can edit this file is an app. And do I have that up? Nope. So we'll go here, apps, and we're going to go to Splunk App for Lookup file. And this is an app that I've downloaded off of Splunk Base. And if you've never, I'll back up, or before I go too much further, if you've never heard of Splunk Base, this is our app store, and we can either go to splunkbase.splunk.com and do a search in here for lookup file. There it is, lookup file editing, or just back at your favorite search engine, Splunk Base lookup editor, and you'll get links to the same location. I will point out, with the new Splunk Base, we are Splunk is providing a new Splunk Base over the old one. Sometimes if I were to just put lookup, you may not see that that app down here, and even if I run the search, you may not see it. So make sure to put in lookup file. If you go to the old Splunk Base, if I type in lookup there, it's the first entry. So hopefully our product team is working on, or whoever's working on the website is adjusting that. And then the last way that we could bring in that lookup app is to go to apps, find more apps, and then the same thing here, lookup. And if I type in, let's say, edit, there it is. It was probably any other, I just didn't feel like scrolling down. But here, you can just install that way if your Splunk environment is internet capable. I worked in an environment that was not the case. So now let's talk about the output lookup command and how to use it. And I'm actually going to go back into here. I want to show DHCP. So here you can see that lookup. This is that app for Splunk app for lookup file editing. I am filtering all of my, there is a lot more. I'll back up. There is a lot of lookup tables that are loaded in my environment. I am using the Splunk Security Essentials app. It's a free app that you can also download from Splunk Base. If you are in that security business, please check it out. There's one for compliance. There's one IT essentials. So we have a lot of good apps out there to help you get going. But here I'm going to go DHCP, and you can see the one CSV that I have right now. And what we're going to do here is a base search. It has given me the IP address, but I would rather, or I need the host name off to here. Luckily for me, I have another data source that I'm using OpenSense in the DHCP server. And if I will go ahead and run this, it will give me the raw logs, and in the raw logs I have my IP address, and it also has host names in here. And I can look at my interesting fields because I have the OpenSense TA app that I downloaded, but helps me to parse this data. And you can see over here in interesting fields, I have client IP, MAC, and name. So now I want to create a lookup table with these three fields. So I'm going to hit the pipe. I'm going to say stats count by, what was that, client underscore name, client underscore IP, and client underscore MAC. Remember, your field names are case sensitive. Not the values, but the field names themselves are. And once this comes up, it gives me 4 columns. And if I don't want the count here in my lookup table, I'm just going to say, easiest way, fields negative count, and that will clean it up. And this is the output that I would like to have. So next, I am going to invoke the output lookup command. So let's click on that. And then I already have in my command history, because I practiced this before I record a video, output lookup DHCP test. And if when I here in my Splunk environment, it is not here yet. So let's go ahead and click on that. And as soon as I run this, and I give it a few seconds, there we go. I have an output. It may not be 100%, but it's a start. You don't have to build everything from scratch. So I can have this here and start editing this lookup table with the file lookup editor. So I 100% recommend downloading that app to edit the lookup tables, because if you don't, you'd have to be in the business of pulling that lookup table from your Splunk index or search heads, bring it down to your computer, edit it, or log into the box and edit it manually like that. So the lookup editor is definitely one of the first apps that I install on a fresh Splunk install. But here you can see I have tab A and tab A. Well, which one are they? 2 different MAC addresses, 2 different IPs. My kids both have a tablet, so if I wanted to know which tablet is which, grab the tablet, look up the MAC address and make sure I know which one it is, and update my lookup table. So if we go back here to this lookup app, the Splunk app for lookup file editing, and rerun this search, let's see here, just hit refresh, and I'll have to put in DHCP again. There is that lookup table. And if I wanted to, I can just click in here, and now I can start editing this lookup file. So like this device here is, my work underscore, laptop. This is, dash child 1. And then we have dash child 2. Click save. We can add more columns. So if I know, like right now, none of my firewall ports are showing up, so I could say firewall. And if I have the IP address, I can put that in there. And if I had the MAC address, 168.1.1. Let's sure, just for fun, because it doesn't matter. I'll just plug this in and call it 99. Save. Now, when I come back over here and I rerun this, well, actually, if I rerun this, ooh, almost messed up. If I rerun this, it'll overwrite the changes. Well, I'll show you that. Let's see here. Bam. And if I go back over here, click Lookups, refresh this. Let's see. I'll do another refresh here, and I'll type in DHCP and click DHCP test. You can see those changes I made are gone now, so be careful with that command with the output lookup. So yeah, I'll do, this time I'll just do this one here, and I'll say, work laptop, and I just want to show you that, one and then -2, that it does work when you click save lookup. And what I can do is come here and actually I will open a new search and do a pipe input lookup DHCP underscore test .csv. And you can see now, instead of what it was before, I get my work laptop, and now I have 1 and 2. And then for this here, I can easily come back to my previous search, or I can type it out here. I think I've got it copied over here. Now I can quickly, oops, got to get rid of the extra pipe when I copied it. And then actually what I'll do is fields and say dest underscore IP, and then stats count by dest underscore IP host name. And voila. So you can see where it's grabbing that information. Oh, I got the wrong DHCP underscore test dot CSV. Oh, and you can see I have IP here. And what I needed to do was actually go back to my lookup table and say client underscore IP. And then I believe it's the first one here. So let's just test that out. Client, what did I call that field again? Client name underscore name. And there you go. See, there's the 133, which was the A1, and then there is my work laptop. So you got to see me fail with the field names, but that's a good thing, because then you saw where the first field is in your lookup table to match in your search results. So the client IP as destination IP, and then the client name as host name. So instead of it coming out as client name, I have it as, and you can, I could have easily done this and say client underscore name if I wanted to, if that makes more sense for you as well. And once you've defined that lookup table and you've got it incorporated into Splunk, we can start adding that information to dashboards you may have built or other reports. So here is a dashboard that I created that looks at all of the devices in my network. I use my information, my data from the DHCP server, and compare it to the lookup table to see if there's any changes. If a new device grabbed an IP on my network that I didn't know about, I could set up alerts around this. For example, I do have one here for what. So anytime a new device comes on here and it does not find a match, it actually outputs the name what, so that I can go, hey, what is this? Yeah, and what is this? So Nintendo 3DS. So one of my kids, they must have turned on their 3DS that they haven't used in a while. So I'm going to go edit my lookup table. Here's the MAC address. So let's go see if it's already in that lookup table. And not this one. So I'm going to click lookups here and go back into Hall DHCP leases. And I can either do a filtered search for NIN, and I have one here for Nintendo 3DS, but that's a different MAC address. So let's just add this one in place because I know there should be two of them. So I'll just, insert a row afterwards, and we'll call this one Nintendo. We'll say 3DS 2. And we'll give it, we can see there it is, the different MAC address. And then what IP address did it grab? So I'll just grab this IP address because that's what my DHCP server has. And we will go back over here and we'll say this. I'm going to click Save Lookup. All right. And after clicking Save Lookup, I should be able to go back to my dashboard. And I'll just do a refresh. Click. Okay. Didn't have to click Submit. And it should not have anything in the red column, and there we go. Oh, interesting. So now I need to, there's a client name and a host name is different. So I'll play around with this some more. Should be the same. Well, client name is what my DHCP server sees it, and then this is the name I gave it. So I'll have to go get the kids' devices and make sure that I don't have a rogue Nintendo 3DS on my network, which I doubt it. I know we have two of them. So hopefully this video was helpful in introducing you to lookups and the power of them. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And happy spelunking.